pretty big soccer game, as I recall. And Wendell showed up and sat down in his seat at the volleyball match. And I said, I can't believe you're here. He said, Oh, yeah, I love these girls. I said, I know, but there's a big thing going on at I'm just thinking if my name was on the field, I might want to be there for a game as big as he said, No, this is way more important to me than that. Okay.
Well, the closest I've got to my grandfather's name's on the tennis courts over at UK, the the outdoor courts.
Okay. Well, a good friend of mine's name is on the indoor courts. Do you
Oh,
know Richard Vemont?
oh, Vmont, sure, sure.
Well, he's a
Yeah,
Rotary member. Yeah.
yeah,
He,
he
in fact,
played.
he was my introduction. He introduced me at Rotary Club.
Yeah, he played for my granddad. My granddad was coach over at UK.
I, that's funny.
Yeah,
And Richard became coach. That's pretty funny. That is a small world. Richard has some very good stories about Adolph Rupp.
yeah. So does my uncle. My uncle played for him back in the 30s.
That's I tell you what, I would love to get all those guys in a circle and have a big bottle of bourbon and just let them go at it and tell stories all night. I would be there for that for days.
Yep.
Hey Brandon, what's going on, man?
Good morning, Don. Sorry, or good afternoon, rather. I've lost track of time. How are you guys?
It's okay. Morning is fine. I'm not fully awake most until like 7. So all right, we're getting started. I'm gonna mute everybody. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Are you ready to go? Good afternoon, everyone. We have a full house today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. As a reminder, please silence your cell phones and keep conversation to a minimum. We've got an exciting program that everyone will want to be able to hear those hot tips. I'd like to invite Lou to come up for our pledge, four-way test, and inspiration.
Since you're all standing, please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's a four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better justice? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? You may be seated. It's anybody home? It's that magical time of year in Kentucky, lying smack between a successful run at Keeneland and the 150th run for the Roses, the Kentucky Derby. Today we're talking about horses. It got me thinking. We expect a lot from horses. In fact, horses played many key roles in building America, from providing basic transportation, to plowing fields, to herding cattle, to delivering mail, to pulling stagecoaches, to pulling boats and canals, and to entertaining in circuses and rodeos, and to keeping the peace. It got me to wondering, how much power and energy can be harnessed by channeling the unbridled spirit in positive directions? and how much true potential can be achieved. Wow. What if people achieved similar standards? Think about that when you're placing your bets. And remember, somebody out there is betting on you.
Thank you, Lou. I'd like to bring back Brad Patrick. I'm tongue-tied and I didn't even have a shot of that bourbon yet. Come on up. I know. To introduce our guests.
Oh, my goodness. We love having guests and we want to make sure we have the honor of welcoming them. I think I caught it.
Yeah.
And so I was going to read them off today, and we're going to suspend our normal effort of having our members introduce your guests. So we have a couple pages up here. So first of all, I want to start off by welcoming Jim Reed. Just wave your hand, Jim. Hey, welcome, Jim. Jim's the guest of Sharon, obviously. And then Ann Gay Donowitz. Where's she? Hey, welcome, Ann. Bob Millward has guests Tom Dupree and Guy Bradley. Where are you guys? Uh-oh, NBC. Mike Cooper. Where's Mike? Mike, guest of Susie Basham. Kathy Brooks. George Brooks. Where's Kathy? There you are. Hey, Chris Henry. He snuck in. He has nobody hosting him. He just snuck into place. We welcome you anyway. Stephen Mallory. Where's Stephen? Stephen, welcome. Ron Napier. There's Ron. Sam Razor. There he is. Page 2, Emily Alberti. Wood Simpson is here. Guest of DG. There you are. And Debbie Kane, guest of Chris Campbell. Where's Debbie? Hey, back there, everybody go say hello to her. Chris Stanley, I'm guessing, where's Chris? Way back there. I thought maybe you were here with Paul Stanley, but I guess not. Sitting too far apart. Sitting way too far apart. Randy Michaels, another guest of Susie Basham. Susie's always popular to bring guests. Very nice. And then last but not least, please welcome Debbie Rutledge to our meeting today. There you are. Welcome all guests. I encourage you to meet a Rotary member. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. With the lottery, Cheyenne McBride. Always the challenging thing to read my ticket. Well, okay, Ace of Clubs, 905. Okay. First number, 9133. 9133. Kent Heisel. Good luck. Ooh, Ace of Spades. Thank you for your donation. You get $1. Yeah, feel lucky. Yeah. Now, second ticket, 9206. 9206. Oh, Jamie? Oh, nope, Chris Campbell, who is it? I know. Were you trying to throw me off, Jamie? Yes. Ooh, 7 of Spades. Thank you for your donation. Thank you, Cheyenne. There are no birthdays this week, but hopefully all of you have gotten your birthday club postcards and will donate to the birthday club, which helps our endowment. Now I'd like to bring, oh, never mind. Well, before I bring Brett Anderson up, we have a couple trips and things that we're putting together for the dance and also for something for Town Branch. If anyone has any airline points that they would like to donate to where we can turn that into a voucher for tickets for someone, we would greatly appreciate it. So keep that in mind. And now Brett Anderson to give an update on the dance.
Thank you, Madam President. On page 4 in the top right corner, you can see the 5 ways you can help Dancing with the Stars, our biggest fundraiser of the year. But I regret to tell you that there are only 4 ways now and exceedingly going to be 3 ways. The event is sold out. So how about a big hand to everybody that put this event together? We're busting at the seams. And one of the best ways you can help us today is bring a bottle of bourbon. Next week's our last chance right before the event. Bring a bottle of bourbon. We have a bourbon pull. We charge $50 per ticket for the bourbon pull. We look for 60 bottles of bourbon. We're about half of that. So if anybody, go through your own stock, get a full bottle of bourbon that hasn't been opened yet and bring it. And we would most greatly appreciate it. It's going to be an awesome event. Everybody, the committee and Kim are working so hard. Thank you so much. Cheers to Dancing with the Stars.
Great job, Fred. Yes, our committee has done a really good job. We're very, very excited. If anyone has written letters for the upcoming honor flight mail call, please give them to Peggy. And then I'd like to invite Laura Mobley-Korn up to introduce our newest member.
It's my pleasure to introduce Sarah Daner. Sarah, along with her partner Phil Morgan, is the owner of Always Best Care of Greater Lexington. Always Best Care provides professional in-home solutions to seniors and their families in Fayette and surrounding counties. They have been open since July of 2017 and have since grown to be an award-winning presence in the home care space, winning franchise growth awards in 2019, 2020, and 2021. In addition, they were named an employer of choice by Home Care Pulse in 2022, also winning the Herald Leader Readers Poll Best of Lexington Gold Awards in 2022 and Bronze in 2023. Always Best Care is a member of the Home Care Association of America and is certified by the National Association for Home Care and Hospice. Sarah was born in Detroit, but grew up in most of her life in Union Lake, Michigan. She earned her Bachelor's of Science in Industrial and Operations Engineering from the University of Michigan. She spent 10 years at Gelman Science Hall Corporation, working in various capacities in engineering and operations management before moving to Georgetown, Kentucky. She spent the next 10 years raising her children, Kate 24 and Sam 20, while volunteering her time as a ball coach, a T-ball coach, the coach of Georgetown Community Theater Board, and various positions in PTA. In 2011, she began working in supply chain at 3M, and in 2016, she took a job working with the Catholic Health Initiatives, St. Joe's Hospital System, as a performance enhancing engineer, where she discovered her passion for healthcare and being of service to the elderly. She moved to Lexington in 2017. Sarah volunteers with the Walk to End Alzheimer's Planning Committee, help raising funds and to plan the walk, and also on the Friends of Senior Care Gala Planning Committee, raising funds for senior center programs and outreach. She also teaches a free family caregiving, a caregiver yoga class on a monthly basis to provide some help, self-care to those caring for the family members of a friend. In her spare time, she enjoys gardening, reading books about business and personal growth, studying yoga, walking with her partner Phil, and playing with her dog Jen. So I'd like to introduce Sarah. And here's her dad.
Great. Oh, I'm going to be challenged. Okay, now I'd like to bring up, if I can say her last name correctly, Julie Kwasniewski to the podium. I need to spell it phonetically.
Good afternoon and happy Derby Day. I'm Julie Kwasniewski, Director of Bluegrass Farms Charities and a member of this year's yearling class. Before I introduce our featured guest, I would like everyone to welcome a former first baseman at Bourbon County, CEO of Tom Leach Production, and the voice of the Wildcats, Mr. Tom Leach. Thank you for being here, Julie.
In the thoroughbred industry, it's common to hear horsemen ask, who's that yearling out of? They're talking about the dam. And who is he by? The sire. When finding the best pedigree and conformation that produces the perfect racehorse. It is without a doubt that our guest speaker, Shannon Arvin, has won the Julep Cup Trophy for her leadership and dedication to Keeneland. Her lineage began with her grandfather and father's tenure at the track, and then her extensive equine law background that has moved Shannon into the lead of Keeneland CEOs. Besides her energy, Shannon brings new technology and safety innovation to the track and subtle changes that only a woman can see with her attention to detail present at each meet and during the horse sales throughout the year, all of which benefits Lexington. If you have been to the races lately, you would have noticed some construction taking place. Upgrades to buildings and barns have been a forefront to Shannon's goals to keep Keeneland iconic and beautiful. As her biography states, Shannon Bishop Arvin serves as the 8th president and CEO of Keeneland Association and the first woman named to the position. She began practicing law in 2002 at the Lexington firm Stowe, Keenan, Ogden, where she represents servant owners and industry organizations in Kentucky and throughout the year. Throughout the world, sorry. As a SKO partner in 2008, she began serving a corporate counsel at Keeneland and has been secretary and advisory member of Keeneland's board of directors since 2015. Arvin serves on the board of directors of the University of Kentucky's Gluck Equine Research Foundation, Stockyards Bank Corp., the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, and is chairman of the National Thoroughbred Racing Association. She is a trustee of Thoroughbred Owners, trustee of the Thoroughbred Owners and Brewers Association and the Lexington School. She became a member of the Jockey Club in 2019 and a trustee of the Jockey Club Safety Net in 2021. You're busy. I personally can state from my interaction with Mrs. Arvin that she is a very conscientious person who not only loves thoroughbred, but appreciates the people that take care of them. The Lexington Rotary Club is truly blessed to have you as a friend and an honorary member. With no further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium, Ms. Shannon Arvin. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for such a nice introduction, especially coming from Julie, who works tirelessly for the people on the backside of Bluegrass Farms Charities. How is everybody? It's Derby week, couldn't be better. It's sunny today. I don't know what tomorrow it's gonna be, but so far so good today. We had a great spring meet. I hope many of you were able to visit us and come see us out at Keeneland during the month of April. We had really great weather, except for 3 days, which were pretty soggy, but the other days were fabulous and made up for it, and awesome crowds. I cannot tell you how much fun it is on a Wednesday afternoon to look at our apron by the track and see it full of fans. We just are so lucky to be in a place like Lexington and be embraced with our sport and our tradition, and we don't take it for granted. We had the 3rd highest handle, the amount of money bet on our races in history this April meet, a little more than 218 million. And we also had a lot of star power on the track. You all probably saw Sierra Leone win the Bluegrass Stakes, which was awesome, right over just a touch. An epic ride. We'll see all 3 of them on Saturday in Louisville. And then we had Leslie's Rose, who was awesome, in our Central Bank Ashland. All our first weekend of racing. We really jump right in and have our biggest races that first weekend. You might have also seen, if you're on social media, that we had a few visits from our friend, Coach Pope. And it really was funny because he said, you know, I don't want this to be about me. I want to fly under the radar. Well, if you're 7 feet tall and you're bringing in a recruit who's 7 feet tall, it is really hard to fly in under the radar. But it was amazing because he is such a kind and gentle spirit, you can tell. And as he walked through the crowds every single time, He stopped to say hello to everybody that he could. He took selfies with them, and the whole crowd was chanting CATS, 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 cats. Even the trophy that he presented to Godolphin, who had won the stakes race that day, in the winner's circle, they had just won the race, started screaming cats, cats, cats. So he really did receive a warm welcome for us. And also I will say he brought 2 recruits, one each time he came, and both recruits committed. So I told him, I said, if they don't come after this, I can't help them. We don't want them. You all might be noticing that things look a little different if you've come to see us. We've got some construction underway. It's kind of hard to believe that that is what we're looking at beyond that green fence. If you were in the paddock during the race meet, hopefully you were kind of struck that you didn't really notice that much different, because the green wall really does screen everything off. But there's an idea of what's going on behind the screen wall. What we took down was the old office building where there weren't any seats available. We had great seats. Our office had a spectacular view, but it wasn't helping us with our patrons. So when we set about thinking about how to make Keeneland better, it's a hard thing to do, right? It's a really great place. And our team got together and said, what would we do? We literally said, if the sycamore tree were a money tree, what would we do to make Keeneland better? Because I really do feel strongly that if you know your why, you can do anything. And this is a hard project. This is a hard 18 months to be out of your office and hosting 3 race meets and hosting the sales, just business as usual. But I think we all at Keeneland are so firm in our belief in the why that we're making it happen. And hopefully if you were there in the spring, it didn't throw you off too much just to have to go a little bit of a different path to get into our grounds. So our why, we are a company, as you all know, by horsemen, for horsemen in 1936. We have a little prospectus, which I actually carry around everywhere with me. I can think it's kind of weird, but I do. Once in a while, you just need to see it exactly how our founders said it. And our mission has not changed since 1936. We spent a lot of time workshopping and thinking, okay, how can we say it in a more modern way? How can we better explain our mission? But our founders did such a good job. We've stuck to our original mission, which is to be a model racetrack and sales company, perpetuating the very best of the traditions of our sport. So we found that to be a model racetrack and sales company, one of our duties and goals is to offer the very best experience we can for our fans and our sales clients. We sell out of public seating for the race meet in 8 minutes, which is awesome. I mean, there are tracks and venues all over the world that would love to be able to say that. And we are so happy that there's such demand, but we also don't like that people are left feeling like they can't come join us. So we wanted to make more room for them. So that really is what drove the concept of this new paddock building. It'll be about 95,000 square feet. It will be able to seat about 1,400 more people from the public. So that's a significant amount. Anytime we make a change at Keeneland, we get a lot of people worried that we're going to mess it up. I've had people saying that they were going to lay down in front of the sycamore if we were going to take the sycamore out. It's actually my friend's mom, and I had to call my friend Elizabeth and say, please tell your mother we're not taking down the sycamore. Nothing is happening to the sycamore. The sycamore is sacred to us, just like it is to everybody else. We are, as I said, stewards of Keeneland. We're trying to make it better than when we found it. So what you will see when this project is completed, I truly believe it will look like it's always been there. Our architects that came in, they said, what does this project look like to you if it's successful? And I said, that you won't be able to tell when this building was built and all the other buildings were built. And we literally have gone to the effort of it'll be the same stone, not just the same kind of stone, the same stone. We were able to save 80% of the stone from the admin building that we took down. So I think that you'll see a building that kind of seamlessly integrates with what's there and just lets us offer a better experience. Another part of the experience we're excited about offering is that the saddling stalls, which are right now at the end of the paddock, are going to be in the center of the paddock so that more people will be able to get close to the horses. We firmly believe that if you let somebody get close to the horse and just let them breathe on them, then they'll never not be a fan. So we're working to get the people closer to the horses. We also have one of the rooms where the jockeys are going to come up from the jockeys' quarters and walk through the room, get out to the paddock and back into the jockeys quarter. So we're just working really hard to offer exciting new experiences for fans so that they can fall in love with this awesome sport like we have. I think we've got a little video for you here. Is it gonna play? I still get excited every time I've seen that video. You can imagine I've seen it a lot of times. Thank you. We are really excited about the project, and it will be complete September of 2025. So we have 3 race meets to get through under construction. We've got 1 under our belts, and it was the messiest I've been promised. So thank you all for bearing with us through that process, and we're excited to welcome you in September of 25 to the new grounds. Now, I know the reason that you all are all here, and you were nice to let me talk about Keeneland and all the things we brought up there. But you want to know about Derby picks. So I brought Tom Leach with me because you probably want to listen to him more than you listen to me. But I will tell you, it's time for a Bluegrass Stakes winner to win the Derby. It's time, and I think we have them this year. So my team asked me, "Do you want to go deeper than Sierra Leone?" And I said, "No, I really don't. Sierra Leone is my pick. That's Sierra Leone. It's going to win the Derby." And then Leslie's Rose, who won the Central Bank Ashland on our opening day, is my pick for the Oaks. On the nose. Well, I'm going to let Tom tell you about the rest of the field and get a little bit deeper into the handicapping. I like the second and third in the state and the rest too. Just a touch and epic rhyme.
And one of the assorted 1,000 different bets that are available this weekend, there is an Oaks Derby double that you can wager on. So you could take both of Shannon's selections and play them in the Oaks Derby double. Even though the nice thing about those races is that they draw full fields pretty much year in and year out. And even if you're on the favorite, payoff's a little better than it typically is if you're on the favorite. So my job is to talk a little bit about the Derby and give you some selections. They come with no guarantee, but they come with enthusiasm. I love this, the whole month of April leading up to Oaks and Derby weekend. When Keeneland starts, it's kind of a rite of spring, like it is if you're a golf fan, and it's time for the Masters. They both coincide in the month of April. And the Kentucky Derby this year, I think there are 2 horses that are a little better than the rest on their best day. Sierra Leone and Fierceness. They're the top 2 betting choices on the morning line. I think Fierceness is a slight favorite. In the early wagering earlier this week, Sierra Leone was getting more of the money. I'm not sure where it stands right now, but those 2, I think if on their best day, they're a little better than, I'm confident they're a little better than 16 of their rivals. out of the 20. So we had 2 up here on the first tier, and that's Fierceness and Sierra Leone. And Fierceness, we probably saw the best of his game in the Florida Derby. He romped and had a 110 Meyer speed figure. It's hard for me to see him moving forward off that, but if he ran the same or something close to it, it'd be hard to beat. Sierra Leone, I think, does still have a little bit of room left, to a little bit of upside to tap into. And I think it's quite possible he will do that this weekend. So it's hard for me to imagine those other 16 being able to improve enough to defeat both of those two. Surely maybe one of them doesn't run his race, but surely one of them will bring his A game, if not both. So 2-16. That leaves us with 2 others. And those are the 2 that are in my top 4 because I'm not sure what their best is yet. There are 16 that I'm pretty sure their best isn't good enough at this time to beat the top 2. I can't say that about Forever Young coming over from Japan. I just don't know enough about him coming from so far away. I know he's 5 for 5. I know from the standpoint of the ratings of the speed of horses that he stacks up quite well. And I know that a lot of Japanese horses have won a lot of major races all around the world in recent years. So they are targeting the Kentucky Derby. And I think probably at some point one of their horses will get the roses. And a lot of the best horses in Japan, seems like about every one does. I need to look at the pedigree of the 2 that are in this year. Somewhere back in their pedigree is Sunday Silence from Bourbon County, where I grew up, Stone Farm. Arthur Hancock won the Derby in 1989, and he wasn't valued to the level that they had hoped as a stallion when he finished his racing career here. So he ended up going to Japan, and he became kind of the Northern Dancer of Japan. I remember up in the 80s when all those horses by Northern Dancer were lighting up the sales tote board out at the Keeneland then July sale. So the other horse, so I don't know what his best is. So I have to leave open the possibility that his best could be good enough. So I think he's a potential winner along with Sierra Leone and Fierceness. And the other one, and the horse that I'm actually picking on top, is Just a Touch. He has only raced 3 times. His sire is Justify, who only raced 3 times coming into the Kentucky Derby and won it. Went on to win the Triple Crown. Mage had 3 starts last year and won the Kentucky Derby. So that was a horse that you would typically have thrown out 10 years ago and beyond. But now horses are have campaigns that are lighter. And so it's not unheard of for clearly a horse to be able to do this. He's talented enough, and Just a Touch, I think, could be. The thing that kind of leads me to Just a Touch, and many of you are probably in the financial game or you're invested in the stock market or something, I'm looking for something that's a little undervalued in terms of playing the race. So Just a Touch in the Bluegrass Stakes had to be hustled out of the gate a little early to get a good position. And this is the first time he's raced beyond a mile when he's running in the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. And the pace ended up being one of, if not the fastest early paces of any of the Derby preferences, and one of the fastest in many years for the Bluegrass Stakes. So while Fierceness broke out on top in the Florida Derby, never looked back, he had the easiest trip in the world. And Sierra Leone had a favorable trip that played to his best chance in that getting that fast pace. He's a late running horse, so that was advantageous to his chances. Just a Touch had circumstances that were not advantageous to his best chances. And yet, when they're in deep stretch, he's pulling away from everybody but Sierra Leone. So I was telling Shannon on the way up after the Bluegrass, I thought to myself, and this is going to be the first ticket I'll play on the Derby, is to just take the top 2 from the Bluegrass, Sierra Leone, Just a Touch, in a 50-cent trifecta, and take those 2 over everybody else. And then do a second ticket, those 2 over everybody, and those 2. Thinking that Just a Touch or Sierra Leone is going to win, and the other one's going to be second or third. And if I'm right about the quality of this year's Bluegrass Stakes, then I'll be hoping like heck that something that's 99-1 is in that second or third slot with those two. But rather than try to get too smart, if I'm smart enough to be right about those two, I just want everybody else to be able to hit the ticket. So that's why I'm on just a touch. It was 10-1 in the morning line, and actually the last time I checked the wagering, probably yesterday, he had floated up 2 or 3 points. So he's a horse. They had to work so hard to get him ready to run a winning caliber race in the Bluegrass Stakes that I think at that point they didn't need to do a whole lot more with him in terms of his morning training. So he's looked very good galloping, but he hasn't turned any particularly fast workout times. And those horses sometimes, because workouts for the Derby are covered much more intensely than they are for any other race all year, horses like that sometimes get a little bit overlooked. And I'm thinking that would happen with Just a Touch. So his price might even float up a little bit closer, be somewhere between 12 and 15-1. If the current trend holds, it looks like that'll be correct. So I've got a horse that I'm not sure what his upside is, and I might get somewhere close to 15-1 on him as opposed to the favorites. So from a horse player standpoint, that's why I'm taking Just a Touch. And I've got him and Fierceness in my top 3, and Sierra Leone, and then Forever Young's the 4th one. And if I play a bet that goes across several races, like a pick 3 or a pick 4 or something, then I'll just use all 4 of those horses. I think there's a good chance one of those 4 is the winner of this year's Kentucky Derby. So Just a Touch for me. And then ironically, just kind of how this works out, sometimes I didn't go in with this particular agenda. I'm taking the runner-up for the Ashland, from the Central Bank Ashland, to win the Kentucky Oaks tomorrow. Just FYI. She was scheduled to make her 3-year-old debut down in Florida in March, had a little bit of an illness, a little bit of a setback, and so they had to really hustle to get her back on track to make it to the Ashland Stakes. And with being a little short on training, she still ran a great race, got second, and now has just trained tremendously out of that performance. And I think she's got a big shot to take a significant step forward. And kind of the angle for me on both of the horses I'm picking for the Derby and for the Oaks is that they're going to take a significant step forward from what their best race has been to this point. And 3-year-olds this time of year can make some dramatic improvement. But in the Oaks, I think just FYI, I think Torpedo Anna, who won the Fantasy Stakes in Arkansas as her prep for the Oaks, but made her debut blowing away the field at Keeneland last fall and made us all think, ooh, that one looks like something special. It turns out she is. So I think Torpedo Anna has a tremendous shot. Ways and Means I like for Chad Brown. The Ashland winner, Leslie's Rose. So that's just a loaded race. And any one of probably 6, I mean, in a 14-horse field, there's probably 6 or 7 that wouldn't surprise me if they won the race. And you don't usually have, up to 50% of the field where you think they can win the race in any given race. So Just a Touch and just FYI, and we'll just hope we can hit for a good bit of financial gain this weekend. Good luck to everybody. By the way, 100th renewal of the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes this year. So it would really be cool if the winner of the Bluegrass or a horse coming out of the Bluegrass were to capture the roses for the Kentucky Derby's 150th renewal, with the 100th winner or runner-up from the Bluegrass Stakes getting the roses. And there have been a bunch of them before that have been successful on the path that comes through Keeneland. So I'm with Shannon, it's time for it to happen again. And she's on Sierra Leone, I'm on Just a Touch. And I think there's a good chance one of those two is wearing the roses on Saturday afternoon. And with that, I will close it out. And thank you very much for your attention. Best of luck this weekend, and try to cash in big on an exciting weekend of racing. Questions? May I have any questions? Even about basketball, if you want.
There. 8 Keeneland sales graduates in the field this on Saturday. Is that average? Is that high? It says a lot about quality sales that happen out there. But.
Yes. It's, I said something that I was on a show somewhere. I said, a great horse can come from anywhere, but you don't have to be at a certain spot, But if you want to have a shot to win the Derby and the Oaks every year, well, no better place to go than the sales at Keeneland, because you're going to get a horse that's going to give you a high likelihood to have a shot to be in those races with a chance to win them every year. No, there's nobody that I move up or down dramatically. If the question was about an off track, Mystic Dan ran his best race, and he's an interesting long shot play. He ran his best race in a win in the slop. If you follow buyer speed figures, Fierceness has 2 that are 100 or better. The only other horse that has a buyer figure of 100 or better is Mystic Dan in that sloppy track race. But that track drives really fast, and there's a lower chance of rain for Saturday. Last I checked, anyway. So I doubt it'll be that sloppy. But I was reporting trackside in 2018 when they said the rain was going to move out around 10 or 11 o'clock, and it set a record for one-day precipitation. And the pink tie I had became part of the white shirt I was wearing by the end of the day. I think that would be a question better asked by Shannon. Answer that.
It's, the legislation that you're referring to is HISA, the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act. And as far as we're concerned at Keeneland, it is a complete game changer. And some of the press that you've seen and some of the issues that Bob Baffert has been in the center of, it wouldn't happen now because the rules are the same across all racing jurisdictions. So we used to have 37 different jurisdictions with rules that were just a little bit different, and the Racing Commission would administer the rules a little bit differently and exercise prosecutorial discretion. So now we do have HISA, so we have the same set of rules. It was a massive job that they had to get underway. I mean, massive, to take a sport and just develop an entire anti-doping program and an entire track safety program. They have stubbed their toe a couple times, but every time they have, they've been willing to listen to people in the industry who really have the best interest of the sport at heart to do the right thing. So there have been times they've said, you know what, that rule probably doesn't make sense because it caught somebody that it shouldn't have caught, that wasn't doing anything wrong. You know, if there was environmental contamination or whatever it might have been. And Lisa Lazarus is a lady that's the CEO of that organization. And she has a strong history in sports regulation. And I think she and her team are doing a really good job. It's not perfect, but it's so much better than where we've been. And I think it is definitely necessary to have a nationally popular, responsible sport.
Read a lot about the buyer index, the buyer rating. Kind of explain what that is, how much credence you give to that.
Andy Beyer, longtime sports writer for the Washington Post, developed these speed figures. The concept, and there are others. There's Thorograph, there's Ragozin, there's several different ones out there that people make their decision on which one to put the greatest value in. But what they're ultimately trying to do is put a number on a performance of every race, so that a 100 buyer for a horse at Keeneland is comparable to a 100 buyer for a horse that ran at Santa Anita. So that, you know, because it's different climates, different racing surfaces, environmental circumstances, whatever. So that number, be it buyer or something else, they're trying to put that numerical value so you can kind of compare horses from one circuit to the other and have a better handle on how it stacks up. So they're evaluating the track each day, say at Keeneland and at Santa Anita and everywhere else, and then making a number relative to how fast or slow the track may have been that day. And so a horse might run, the idea is that a minute and 48 seconds for a mile and an eighth at Keeneland and a minute and 46 seconds for a mile and an eighth at Santa Anita, the horse at Keeneland actually could have run better. And that's what the buyer figures and the others are trying to tell you. There's some of the buyer figures are in the daily racing form every day, and I'm using the form anyway. So I rely on those rather than spend extra money for some of the others. But you hear a lot of people, talk about the sheets if you get deep into the weeds and listening and reading coverage about racing. And so a lot of the trainers and owners are more favorable to that. But that's essentially what it's trying to do, is kind of cut across all the different figures from one track to another to be able to compare horses that are then competing against each other coming from different spots. And I'm usually just looking for a pattern of improvement. It's kind of what kind of clues me in on one way or the other. Back in the back, let's go. No, I don't think it would be. I think you'd be Torpedo Anna right now is the early favorite in the Oaks. Mystic Dan somewhere around 30-1 last I checked. So you would be flush with cash if you were correct. But Kenny, I know, told me, I interviewed him one day out at Keeneland. Kenny actually threw that out there in an interview I did with him. Actually, I use it on the radio show tomorrow, where he said, I could win the Oaks Derby double with his. So he's very high on both of them. So if you want to ride with Kenny, there are worse spots to be in. Good trainer, has great horses this year. Yes.
For basketball question. Who are these guys?
Hey, you mean the 9 new players? Yeah. They've got enough to play now. They can't fully practice. They need to walk on to practice, but they do have enough to play. And they'll get more. Somebody emailed me last year about it. Could football players, when they only had 6 or 7 players committed, that could football players play? Could they get some guys from the football team? I said they could. It's probably not feasible anymore. But the thing is, they don't have to play now. They don't play till November. Just give it a little time. They'll get what they need. So who are these guys? Older, going to be considerably older team. They're with the transfer portal now. Fortunately, I always knew whenever Cal left, because of the way he did it and relying heavily on freshmen, that whenever he did leave, they would probably lose a lot of players. They lost them all this time. But thankfully, the transfer portal for Kentucky is a godsend at this particular time, because you don't have to, rebuild over years. You can just reload quickly. I think it'll be next year and beyond where you'll start to see the real look of what a Mark Pope team will be when he has a full year to recruit some freshmen and to bring together exactly the kinds of players that he would like. But here he's had a short amount of time to do this, and seemingly he's done a really good job. I think the common theme is that they're really good defensively, so I think that'll be a significant area of improvement. Got 2 great shooters yesterday, so he has moved aggressively, but not panicked to get a group together. So he's taken another maybe a week longer than it perhaps needed, or not needed to take, but could have been done shorter. But you might have not had the best mix of players. So I think he's taken a little more methodical approach in trying to bring together a group of guys that can be melded into a team. So I start every year with a lineup board on my computer, and I think this will be the first time it'll be completely blank, and I'll have to fill in everything. Won't be any carryover from the previous year where I can just go in and update a guy from sophomore to junior or junior to senior.
One last question. Yeah, how does he grade hold up?
Very good. It's as strong as about anything outside the NFL, and nothing approaches that. But the NBC does a really good job of telling the whole story beyond just the race, and it's the sporting event that is most watched and attended by men and women. It's not as male dominated as some other sports are in terms of the audience. And you have, everybody. My daughter went to school in Denver. They had, she went to derby parties out there. Everywhere where there's anybody that's ever been in Kentucky is probably having a derby party this weekend, no matter where they are. So it is a tremendous unifying force, and that shows up in the ratings. They've been, consistently really strong for NBC. So you've seen them, go a little deeper into it. They cover Ascot now in the summer, cover some of the racing from Saratoga later in the summer. So there's one more way in the back. I'll do one more. Senator Strauss. Why would there be an asterisk? Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, I guess there would be a little bit, but the Belmont is going to be at Saratoga this year because they're rebuilding Belmont Park. And the configuration of the racetrack at Saratoga doesn't lend itself to a 1.5 mile race. So the race at the Belmont, the distance of the Belmont is going to be the same as it would be for the Kentucky Derby. So yeah, there would be, I don't know, there'd be an asterisk in the record book, but I think in the minds of people that follow the sport probably would be, like if somebody had won the Triple Crown in 2020 when it started with the Belmont and then the Derby and then the Preakness. So it has changed, you know, if you go far enough back, there've been different distances and different order of the races, but yeah, I'm so wrapped up in Derby, but yeah, there would be not a formal asterisk, but a bit of one if we see a Triple Crown winner. And those two horses at the top are so good that, and I probably if one of those two wins, the other one probably won't run in the Preakness, I'm guessing. Probably would wait for the Belmont, take a little more time off instead of coming back in 2 weeks. So there'll be a good chance if one of those two, Fierceness or Sierra Leone, wins the Derby, a great shot, probably have a great shot at winning the Preakness. So there's chance we could be talking about that. We'll see. Thank you all very much.
Don't forget to bring your bottles of bourbon. What a great meeting. Yes, I hope you come back and join us. And thank you to the Zoomers for being here. And with that, have a great day. We're adjourned.